started. Okay,
Ryan,
so
did you get
go
my
ahead.
email? I sent you my
Your bio.
yeah, my bio.
How long
I just
ago?
want to make sure you got it. Well, I sent it yesterday and I sent it again today.
Let me make sure I got it because I hadn't seen it yet. But as you can see, I have 295 missed emails, so I'm getting to them.
Yeah,
But let me double
exactly.
check. I didn't see it anywhere. RJ, did you send it to the right place?
Yeah, I mean, I responded. It was a link, so I don't know if it's in your spam or anything. Or
We'll figure it out.
okay, that's what you wanted, just our link, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can send me your
Okay,
link, or I had people sending me the actual bio write-up, and then I was just
okay,
editing it in a Word doc, so they were just copy and pasting the actual bio and sending it to me. So however
okay.
you want to do it. I think I got back to everybody that sent it to me so far. So, all right. We have some good stuff to talk about today, my friends. I hope you guys are ready.
Oh yeah.
Mark's here. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, sir.
Today's week number 5. And if you haven't had a chance to go back and listen to the previous weeks, if you've missed one of the weeks, they all build upon themselves. So make sure if you've missed a week or two, Mark has all the links. We're in the process here at Strategic Social of building just a little landing page that has all of the training material, the PowerPoint presentations from the first 2 weeks, as well as the recordings, obviously the YouTube links to the recordings on a page so you guys can have access to that. And Mark, I'm just going to leave that. I'll just leave that open for a while so you guys are welcome to use it if you bring in new teams, or if some of these teams that you're leveraging right now, if you want to repurpose some of that content, you're welcome to use that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, so let's go back. Last week, we had an interesting conversation about the sales funnel cycle, the customer journey, the value ladder. And I promised to you that I would have a document created that went through that sales funnel process. I've had a crazy week. I don't have that done yet, but I will make sure to get that to you probably here in a couple weeks. I've got a big business conference coming up next Thursday and Friday. So Mark, we will need to push this meeting 2 weeks from today, if that's okay, for our next meeting. So I'll have a little bit of stress relief and moving forward. So we talked about the value ladder, and the number one important thing, Mark and I had a conversation just a little bit ago, and I was just asking him, are we covering the information that you feel is most appropriate and important to cover in order to help you as the franchise owner understand exactly what you need to do to build relationships with people, to start the dialogue appropriately, and so on. And hopefully you've learned over the course of the last 4 weeks when it comes to how to build your own profile. If you still haven't built your own profile, you need to go back and do that. Send me your paragraphs, send me your bio, and I'll give you some feedback. I'm not going to rewrite it for you, but I'll ask some questions to gain a better understanding of how, and give you a better understanding of how to rewrite those. The other things to do as far as setting up your profile, make sure you have some recommendations and reviews, and inside of the context of that, make sure you have the testimonials. If I go look at my profile, let me just share my screen here with you. If I'm not already, let me just share it with you. Things to consider on your profile. You have your write-up. You have some articles that come in with that. You have your connections, obviously. This is my personal dashboard. Here's articles and activities. I'm going to share with you in more depth details about this part as far as creating more value from an attraction marketing perspective. But make sure you have your profile set up, your experiences set up, and do this in a storyline fashion. Don't necessarily just put bulleted points, but help them see what you're up to with the companies that you run. Make sure you have some skills and endorsements. If I were to show you my skills and endorsements, the whole thing, You can see there's a lot of different skills and things that I've been endorsed for over the course of the last few years. And I ask for those things, whether it's sales, biz dev, marketing strategy, entrepreneurship, or things like strategic partnership, team leadership, social networking, leadership development, public speaking. These are all things that I've received from other people. And then check out your recommendations. Ask for recommendations. I have 15 different recommendations that people can look for. And Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second, but when we had the chance to connect for the first time, and obviously we connected through LinkedIn, and then you asked for me to come down to speak. Did you look at this at all?
Yeah, I looked through several different things, and I spoke with probably 5 or 6 different individuals before having you down there. But I did look down through the profile and through some of the recommendations for sure.
Good, cool. No, that's great. So it's just another way of solidifying who you are and what you're doing, right? You get recommendations, and when people are looking for stuff, they'll come and look at it. They'll come and look at your recommendations. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. As far as week 1 is concerned, week 2, we talked about beginning the process of understanding the message, the conversation. In that, we created, if you recall, we created these documents that have some candid messages that can be sent. We also have one, and last week we talked about personal message from franchise owners. And then we also had another one specifically that was for strategic referral partners. So we have some language that you can use there. So that should be in the folder. And then again, I'll get you the sales funnel process of what we're doing. So those 4 weeks, we've covered a lot of information. I want to just take a step back here really quick and ask questions. Do you guys have any questions as to things we've covered? Questions you may have, messages. We talked about sending messages. And, the most important part about this whole thing is you do something, right? You do something. So tell me a little bit about that, and what are you guys working on, and have you had some experiences that have been positive by leveraging LinkedIn to date? Mark, have you done anything yet? Mark Grant.
Not really. I've been kind of, not nearly as much. I've been kind of I've been working on our crowd pitch stuff a lot. Okay. So I've been adding different things with a little bit of help from Carrie and Teresa, doing like different kinds of social media. But LinkedIn has been a weak spot for me, partly for a couple of reasons. One, I haven't finished my profile yet. I actually sent you the my actual, what is that called? The whatever, that homework you gave us.
Yep. Wait, you got it back from me, right?
I have not heard back from you now.
I sent it back to you, so I'll send it again if you don't have it, because I
that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Thank you so much. Back to you, so
yeah, the weird part that I'm dealing with LinkedIn is not only my inexperience with it, but the fact that I'm originally from Boston, and like 90%, if not more, of the people I know are in Massachusetts, which is crowd event and other contacts. It's been slower for me to build up my local. Let me rephrase, my new local area.
Yeah.
So, I'm working on, reaching out to a bunch of people, like with my networking. I've been trying to connect with them on LinkedIn, and I've made a few more connections. I've added some in over the last couple of weeks. I've probably added about 10 or 20. So I'm trying to build that up now, but it's slow, and I know I've been spending my time in other sections.
Okay.
But I'm trying.
Yeah, no, I know we had talked about committing 10 to 15 minutes a day. Have you been able to do that, Mark?
A couple of days a week. I'd say 3 days a week, but not all 5.
Okay, good. That's a start. It was from nothing to 3 days a week, so that's good, right?
Yeah, don't worry. You're lucky. My wife is in your corner on this. She yells at me every day. So.
Well, they say happy wife, happy life, right?
So far.
Oh, no. I know I was talking to Mark Cottle earlier today, and he was on a run for his wife. She was hungry for like something. Anyway, we won't go there, but he knows the value of happy wife, happy life.
It was the debate. I was going to go to the gym. She needed a chicken sandwich, the fast food one.
The fast food one, yep. Okay, Luis, Ian, I know you guys are both with us here as well. Tell me, I know, Luis, you've been optimizing a kind of an automated thing. Tell me how your week has gone. Did you change the messaging at all, and have you seen a little bit more success with it, or what are you looking at on your end?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
This week, I haven't used LinkedIn at all this week. I'm actually working on another project which has to do with email marketing. And creating some funnels for that.
Good.
So that's kind of what I'm working on. So the LinkedIn right now, I'm not doing it this week, but I'll usually do it like 1 week and then take off a week and then do it another week and then take off a week. So next week is kind of the week that I'll start it off on Monday, and then so yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So nothing this week. But I also want to say I don't like that saying of happy wife, happy life. I like happy spouse, happy house.
Oh, there you go. Fair enough.
You got to give, it's important for both the man and the woman to be happy.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Touche.
Don't tell my wife that, Luis.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't tell my wife that either, because she won't agree with you. But
No.
we'll keep that. We'll add that to the repertoire. Okay. So RJ, tell me a little bit what's going on with you. I know you've only been on a few of these with us, right? You're coming back from not being with us. How's your LinkedIn stuff coming along?
Well, I missed. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I missed one. The other one I could only listen to. I couldn't participate in because I was on the road.
Yeah.
So I'm on LinkedIn every day. I started using the LinkedIn Helper, so I'm utilizing that. And then I've been putting some fresh announcements out on LinkedIn. I just added one the other day. And I've been getting some traction as far as interacting with folks. Nothing that's panned out to loans yet, but getting connections there. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Okay. Have you guys been using some of the sales copy, some of the messaging copy that we've laid out for you?
I have not. That might have been the one I missed.
On your end.
I haven't. No.
Okay.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah. So there's a couple. And Mark, maybe I'll send this over to you, and we can make sure that they have it. There's this LinkedIn messaging that we created based on internal and external struggles that people are running into, right? So Mark, Mark Cottle, let's you and I make sure we connect and make sure you have this, and we can review it collectively just to make sure it makes sense for what we're trying to do with that.
Thank you.
Use it, my friends. Trust me, it works. These are some of the same tactics we use.
How often do you use that?
This is the first connection message that's being sent.
Okay.
And I use one very similar for my business from an agency perspective. And we've had great success with it.
So that's to get connections, or as soon as they become a connection, you send that?
Usually, yeah. So obviously, you have to send a connection request, and these are to people inside of your first connection. You basically have an unlimited number of characters that you can send to them once you're connected to them. If you're talking like, LinkedIn Helper, you might use something like this.
Okay.
Right? Just to open up and bridge the gap to the connection.
Right.
Which you might follow up, not necessarily exactly like this because you've used some of the language here, but part of this you could leverage to get more information in front of them. And again, that's last week we talked about the different things that we could come up with to build value for our connections, including things like one-page documents, startup ideas, startup PDF documents, things of that nature. Mark and I are working collectively, and I know Teresa and the rest of the crew at Lendio are working together to make sure you guys have what you need. So for that.
So you guys are working on marketing collateral that we can attach to this, white papers, things like that.
Yeah, and I think the main focus, based on my conversation with Mark earlier today, I think the main focus is let's make sure that you guys understand as effectively LinkedIn strategies in order to leverage LinkedIn to invite people like Luis did to these crowd pitch events.
Mm-hmm.
So just make sure you're leveraging that, guys. And again, Mark Grant, the easiest way to spend your time is spend your time in this search bar, right? Spend time searching and trying to find people in your geographic location, and let's crack at that thing. Right here, you can go in and select locations right here. You can add a filter for your area, and it's going to give you a list of contacts of people that are on LinkedIn that are in your area. Just begin that process. It's interesting. So I was on a website. As a matter of fact, Mark, we ought to have a conversation about this, but LinkedIn now has a new pixeled strategy similar to Facebook strategy where you can actually pixel your landing pages or put them inside a Google Tag Manager. So something like this happens. So if you look right here, do you see where it says join a NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana CEO group? I was talking with one of my clients yesterday, and we were looking at his website. Well, based on the Google Tag Manager, from what I'm seeing right now, they have a LinkedIn strategy. So they're running this little LinkedIn ad right here because I went to their specific page, or I was somewhere on a page inside of the New Orleans, Louisiana area. So, something to consider, right? And even if, another thing to consider is if with some of these banks, guys, if you can create a relationship with these banks where they're passing information, and they may be a smaller bank versus a large bank, or even a large bank, if you can get in touch with the directors of marketing and you can convince them, quote unquote, convince them to place your Google Tag Manager, your LinkedIn pixel inside of their page so that you can track it through Google Tag Manager, try it. Open up that conversation. Mark Cottle, it's something you guys ought to do. You got to put the LinkedIn Tag Manager on there so that you can, so we can begin to leverage some potentially well-placed ads for franchise owners at some point. And quite frankly, you could even install it from a corporate level perspective. And then, franchisees want to run some ads on LinkedIn. They can just tap into your, to your information so that other people that are searching Lendio through your SEO efforts, they can remarket and retarget on LinkedIn from an ad dollar perspective. So something to consider. The other cool thing is you ought to have some tracking mechanisms as far as your Facebook pixels are concerned. Mark Cottle, remind me, do each franchisee, do they have the opportunity to set up their own website, or is it just a replicated site for each franchise location?
Yeah, everybody's got their own microsite, and most have their own Facebook pages as well.
Good. So maybe what we ought to do in like week 8 or something is I ought to show you how you can set up your Facebook Ads Manager account, and then show you how to install your Facebook pixel for your Ads Manager account for your Facebook business page, so you can start tracking traffic that's coming to your microsite. And then you can leverage some remarketing on Facebook, and then potentially show you how to install your LinkedIn tracking on your microsite as well, so you can start running some LinkedIn and Facebook ads. I know we're talking a little bit about the organic, so we won't do that till week 8, but let's talk more about that in week 8. Any other questions you guys have for me at this point? Any other thoughts? Or, you know, I'm happy to continue to be on these calls and help with the training, but I think I mentioned this in week 1. The purpose of this training, the purpose of you guys spending an hour with me every week, is to make sure you have what you need in order to create more success for you. So if you feel like there's ideas that you'd like to gain more insights about, or if there's things that you've seen out there in the market that have worked and you're not quite sure how they work or what they're doing to work, send Mark Cottle an email, and then he and I can collaborate and make sure that the presentation that we put together for the week connects to those questions that you might have. Or you're always welcome, obviously, to ask those questions here. So just keep both of those things in mind, because we want to, obviously, the value proposition of these presentations is to provide the most value for you as a franchise owner, so you can make sure you're generating more revenue for your specific franchise. That's the end game, my friends. I'm here to help you guys make more money.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a step back real quick. I want to talk today about attraction marketing. How many of you know what attraction marketing is?
No idea.
Okay. Anyone know what attraction marketing is?
No.
What does it sound like?
Sounds like fishing.
You attract them in some kind of way to your page, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. RJ, it does sound like fishing. My way of fishing, where you sit back and the fish just jump in the boat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not that that ever happens, but that's what attraction marketing is. It's a strategy and a tactic of helping people see the value and the authority of what you're doing, so that they'll look for and search out ways to do business with you. So I know we've been talking a lot more about what I would consider to be a push marketing tactic. I want to shift the mindset a little bit, because recognize, Mark Grant, recognize that the value of consistency, especially when it comes to positioning content on platforms like LinkedIn, it can bring a significant amount of value for those people that are paying attention to what you're doing. So let me help you understand this a little bit more depth. When I connect with someone, one of the first things I do is I go and look at their profile to see what they're about. And many times when I'm looking at a profile, I see the job description, I see the bio of what they've done, but I don't see a lot of articles that were written or information that was shared with me to really build and become a person of value. So I missed that. So my question is, how can you become a person of value? And this connects directly with the conversation we had last week. How can you, as a franchise owner of Lendio, how can you provide more value to your community? Well, attraction marketing is the main way you can do that. You see this little box right here that says share an article, a post, a video, an award. That's what I want you guys to think about. I want you to take the next 7 days, and I want you to produce a piece of content. Now, you can leverage content. There's a couple different ways of creating content. There's what they call creating, right? The second element is curating content, which means you came across and read a really good piece of information, and now you're going to put your spin on it. Or there's what they call repurposing, which means I'm going to take a piece of information that I love, maybe something that Lendio creates, and I'm going to put my spin on it and rephrase it. I'm not going to plagiarize it, but I'm going to rephrase it in my own terms and maybe throw some examples of how I've done that or how it's made sense to me in order to provide value for your community. Okay, so attraction marketing is the idea of positioning content, placing it in front of those people who are your target demographic in a way, that really positions or begins to open up the eyes of those connections to people that are around you. So let me share with you. I think you guys have both seen or you've all had the chance to see a friend of mine. His name's Stuart. I had his profile in week 1. One thing that he does pretty well is he takes video on LinkedIn. And you see these likes and these comments, and look at how many free views he's received based on people inside of his circle of influence. Here's another video. Somebody just sitting in the car, right? Giving some information, 11 likes, 16 comments, 515 views. The topic is, what do you feel is one of the top qualities that great leaders possess? Here's another one. This guy gets some massive value. He's been doing this for a while, and he basically does these LinkedIn teardowns. And what he does, he goes through a business profile, and he reviews a profile in 2 minutes. He's got 149 likes, 111 comments, 10,000 views, all organic. It doesn't say sponsored on this. He's been doing this for about 15 or 30 days, and he's getting massive value from it. Then you have like this guy, an article that he wrote. Same thing, likes and comments. Here's another one. Not much value provided, just looking for someone. But here's another one. 34 likes, 3 comments, 879 views. So the idea of attraction marketing is providing value to those people inside of your circle of influence that help you create traction in your business. So let's talk about in last week, if you remember correctly, we talked about quite a few different topics that could be leveraged in order to provide massive amounts of value. So I believe it was Mark, you were sharing with me, Mark Grant, you were sharing with me, if you're talking about how do you strike, or you or Luis, I can't remember exactly, but you're talking about if I'm going to build a position of authority. I mean, what's an expert, right? An expert is only someone who knows. It used to be someone that spent 10,000 hours creating something amazing or becoming the best at their craft. And I still believe in the 10,000 hour rule. But in today's environment, the element of authority is different. The element of expert is different. And in my mind, it's someone that knows more than you do in the industry and is willing to share that so that you can learn from them. Someone that knows a little bit more than you do in the industry and is willing to share that information with you. So think about that in terms of you as a franchise owner of Lendio. What are all of the things, and because of your background, what are all of those things that you know more than those people that are going to potentially borrow from you or become a referring partner to you? What are those things that you know that you can share with people in order to help them see the value of what you do as an operation? Let's just mark down here really quickly, like 5 different things. So feel free to share. Won't go with a list of 200, but RJ, give me one.
I guess I'm not following you, but I'm trying. So
where did I lose you?
Well, it's my fault too, because I pulled up my LinkedIn to see on some of the stuff that I've posted.
Sure. And
I don't have the same bar that those people have. So the latest one, I've got 285 views.
That's great. That information was in front of 185 people that you wouldn't have been in front of any other way.
Right. And 5 likes.
That's great. Again, you have to start, guys, you have to start small, because you have to recognize that. Let me teach you something about algorithms on the back end of LinkedIn and Facebook. The more consistent you are with the content you post, it's going to spark the algorithm and share with the algorithm that you're investing in the platform social media platform like LinkedIn, over time, not immediately. I mean, it's not going to give you 5,000 likes today, but over time, what happens is it starts to display your information more effectively in front of those people that are engaging with you. So, Mark Grant, the reason why consistency is key from an attraction marketing perspective is it opens up organic reach for you, so you don't have to pay for as much. RJ, did I answer your question?
Well, yeah, I guess I'm trying to answer your question. So
yeah. So the question is, let's say, for instance, Lendio is a storybook, and you're trying to educate people on what Lendio is, what they do in a storybook fashion, right? We're not talking about a bulleted benefit fashion. We're talking in a storybook fashion, right? So what is one thing from your experience, RJ, that you feel like you know really well? And one of the reasons that, based on your previous experience of knowing something well, that led you to Lendio? Maybe we can answer it that way. What's one thing you've done in the past that has been a good connection with Lendio?
So I guess before I bought my Lendio franchise, I spent a year trying to figure out what I wanted to do and was trying to buy another business. And I went through the pains of going to banks and to get an SBA loan, and the time it took and all the paperwork I had to do and being jerked around, only to be told no, and those type of things, and getting the hard pulls on my credit. So my credit score kept going down. Thank God I started at 850. Those were some of the things. So then when I found out, when the deal that I had fell through, and I started looking at franchises and found Lendio, it hit all my pain points that I had just gone through. So that was the first attraction.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about your background.
So I came out of the insurance field for 10 years.
Okay.
Working on, focused more on commercial insurance. So working with the same small businesses that I work with today. And which is where my passion lies. And I'm also the past president and member of the Wayne County Business Council, which is my area. Okay. And so that's how that's where I donated.
So your background is insurance and business, right?
Correct.
So what qualified you, in your mind, what qualifies you as an authority, or what's something you could speak about on LinkedIn, for instance, that would help people understand the value of who you are, and in connection, based on that value and that trust, want to do business with you in terms of Lendio? Did I position that question a little differently to make sense now?
I got it. I guess I just don't have an answer yet. But
so business counsel, tell me, and guys, I want you to all think about this as we're going through this, because you as a Lendio franchise owner, I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you to think about this in your mind, like, what is that one thing that I could become an authority in? So talk about this business counsel. So
economic development was our focus.
Okay, great.
So I would say that local economic development is something that I can speak to.
Amazing. And how many business owners out there would love to see information with regards to local economic development, what's happening in the community?
A lot. Sure, okay. Most.
How many of those business owners do you think would potentially, if they gain trust in you by you becoming that person of authority, would potentially need a loan in the next 5 to 10 years, or need capital in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot.
Right? That's how you do it, RJ.
Okay.
So not just sharing about different lending practices, you have to become that figure that people come to you and say, what is this guy all about? So just like, think about it. And let me give you, Let me give you another perspective. So as a real estate agent, right? How many real estate agents are there in this world? A lot, right? And how do you know when, or how do you tell which real estate agents are really differentiating themselves? Well, I was listening to a presentation by one of the top thought leaders, a guy by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk. He's one of the thought leaders in social media. And he said, if you're going to be a really good agent, what you need to do is you need to become more or less a digital media company or a news resource for people. Meaning you're talking about schools and you're interviewing principals at schools. You're talking about community events. You're at those events. You're taking video content. You're providing it. So you're becoming this news media source that people come to you and learn from you and become a part of and gain trust in you because of who you are. And he said to me, not to me specifically, but he said, and that's how you change the paradigm. You don't, as a real estate agent, you don't talk about every single listing that you have. You talk about what's happening in the community. You become that go-to figure. Just like RJ with you, as the president of that business council, you became the go-to of the economic development. So why not keep leveraging that? Throw in some stuff about commercial insurance. Talk about that because you're in there for 10 years. You know about that. How many businesses need to know more about commercial insurance? All of them. Mm-hmm. Provide it as a free element to them, a free point of conversation. And then they're going to engage, right? They're going to engage with you.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different perspective to bring people to you. Let me give you a personal example. Facebook for the last many years has been our platform from an agency perspective. I've spent a lot of time doing live video content on Facebook. At one point in our business, we were doing 92% of our customers were coming based on the Facebook live video content that I was putting out there. Well, you want to know what the Facebook live video content was? Let me teach you how to run Facebook ads for free. I was teaching everything I knew. And what happened is people were coming back saying, we can tell you know a lot about this. We don't want to try to learn it ourselves because what we've watched from you is there's so much to it. Can you do it for me? I was giving everything away for free. And quite frankly, I've given so much away for free from a social media ads perspective that someone could go and start an ads agency. But that's okay. Do it. Become my competition. I don't mind. Because the reality is, when I'm giving that value to people, they may go start their own agency. That's perfectly fine. But for everyone else, the 99% of people that don't, that need to run Facebook ads, for instance, or LinkedIn or Instagram ads, they're going to come to us to do it. If I've positioned myself from an attraction marketing perspective as that person of influence or that expert, quote unquote. So RJ, my recommendation to you for the next 15 days, put together a piece of content that would make sense for your audience, something that you can speak about that doesn't scream Lendio. It could. I mean, Mark Cottle and I were talking earlier. Guys, I would love for you guys, maybe that piece of content is just a testimonial. I mean, they have created some incredible testimonial assets on YouTube. Don't be afraid to use that stuff. Right? That might be one of your pieces. You might even create like a day specifically that's for testimonials of your customers and share that with people.
Okay.
Right? They have so many videos that have been created over the last few years. Like, leverage what they have. They've got a whole database of information that you can use to better articulate the value of what you do from a Lendio perspective in a non-traditional way, meaning tell everything about your story, tell everything about Lendio without you having to say, hey, I'm a Lendio person. And right now, a vast majority of the messages that you're sending out, because you're not using my script, but a vast majority of the message you're sending right now is saying, I'm a Lendio person, I'm a Lendio person, I'm a Lendio person. I just need to get I want to help you, I want to help you, I want to help you. And they're like, People don't care how much you know or how much you can share with them on a LinkedIn message until they start to see the value that you provide to the world without expecting reciprocity. And that's the key, my friends. When you can give unconditionally to your circle of influence without expecting something in return, that's where the whole paradigm of business shifts dramatically. It's been a big paradigm shift for me over the last few years. And it's the exact reason why our company over the last 2 years has grown by over 700%. Because I just decided, instead of holding all this in because I know it, I'm going to share it with the world. So we do a lot of article writing. We do a lot of free webinars. We do a lot of live video content. We do a lot of, articles on Facebook, long form articles on Instagram, long form articles on LinkedIn, to give everything we know to you for free. And if you go back to the lead magnet strategy or the value ladder last week, that's why we do it. Because you give them something of value, now they've taken that first step into your world. And that piece of content, quite frankly, might be a beginning business startup. Here are the things that you need to know from a business perspective, and find something like that, or look at the assets that Lendio has sent you. And if you can talk as a person of experience and authority on a topic that's inside of the marketing assets currently, talk about it. And then refer to that piece of material and say, if you want this, shoot me a quick message and I'll give it to you. Now they send you a LinkedIn message and you can go from there. Yeah, go ahead.
So I learn best visually. So I was wondering because I really like the value ladder from last week.
Yep.
And I hear what you're saying, and I like what you're saying. If there was a way that you could be showing us where you plug that in on the ladder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's look here for a second.
I don't know if that screws you up.
We can probably pull up an example. Let me just look and see. See, these guys they're giving straight value. They're not even putting anything on here as far as click this link to go learn more. So the beginning of the funnel. So this guy, John Steimel, right? He's doing these free teardown, LinkedIn profile teardowns. He's doing them for 2 minutes. He goes through a profile, he analyzes, he tears it apart, and then what he does, he makes a video of it. RJ, you following me?
Yep.
This is the beginning of the value ladder. He just went through this guy's profile. Now look what he is. I coach busy executives to become thought leaders. So what is he positioning himself as here by going through these profiles from a 2-minute teardown perspective?
I get it.
Does that make sense, RJ?
Yeah. No, it does.
He's doing this and it's providing massive value. It's in 4 minutes. And what's he doing? He's creating massive engagement. Look, 111 team comments. All these people are saying, I want to tear down, I want to tear down. So now what he's just done is he's engaged with his exact audience because he knows who his target demographic is. And if we read the comments, as long as my computer will upload. So look at this. Hey, Josh, that was a bit rough on your buddy. I'm quite impressed. He's got 5 references. Do you guys think they're really important? I'm late to the teardown party, but these people are saying, hey, do business with me.
Mm-hmm.
Luis, you can't hear anything? I can allow you to talk, but you shouldn't be muted. Can everybody else hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm good now.
Oh, okay, cool. So
that's the best Luis has sounded in days.
So look at this. So you've got like Tear Me Down. He's a co-founder of this agent, and he's basically I would guarantee Luis, as they do this value add on the front end of a teardown, I bet what they're doing is after it, he's saying, you know, here's your teardown. Here's a message. By the way, if you want me to help you with the next step of helping you become a thought leader and helping you build your profile in order to position you as a thought leader, send me a quick message. I mean, he's provide value first. Now going back, Luis, and I know you've done this, and RJ, you're doing this now as well. And this is why, to some extent, you have to be careful with just spamming messages. I bet, look, this guy gets 111 people coming to him for business instead of sending 111 messages that no one opens. He's sending 111 people are saying, hey, help me out. So, you know, RJ, what is it for you that you could help people do that would make sense, right? What is it that you could do? What is it of value, expertise that you have that you could provide to your LinkedIn community based on these new connections you're capturing that can help them see why they would do business with you?
Well, let me ask you a question on that. So if, I mean, I come across it literally every day, crazy situations that business owners have gotten themselves into.
Yeah.
And even to the point where we're not even to the loan process because they're so screwed up.
Yep.
And have to be, you know, restructured, or, you know, a partner needs to be bought out or something has to happen. But
yep,
we can even clean them up. Could I do like a 2-minute video on, you know, hey, here's a client and here's his situation, obviously not giving his name, but here's what's hindering him from reaching his goals, and even allowing me to help him because of this is what he needs to do and is working on.
I'm clapping, RJ, because you get it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, right? I mean, look at the value you're going to provide in doing that.
Yep.
You're going to provide to all the other businesses in your sphere of influence that may have the same concern or struggle. And if you give them the answer, just make sure when you're doing that assessment that you're giving, you know, the things that you learn. Check it out. RJ, here it is. So he does that teardown, but then look what happens. He has a LinkedIn course for training people. So that's the next step in the funnel.
So in that other case, 111 people went
111
there.
people just said, hey, help me out. I want to do that.
And then he helps them with the teardown, and then he turns them on to this.
He just gave value first. So in your case, right, you're doing an analysis of these business owners. You're saying, here's the exact example that I came in contact with, and here are the 3 steps you should consider. If if you come in the same thing, here's the three things you should consider. And if you want me to evaluate your business like that, figure out a hashtag, the business analyzer or something like that, and just say, throw that in the comments and I'll analyze your business.
And let me tell you something. Just before we get any further, and we can do it offline, or I can research, I do not understand hashtag. So just so you know, right now that was like Chinese to me. So
hashtag is just a search feature.
Yeah, but so I just create hashtag
juice.
Hashtag juice.
So think about this, like when you go to Google and search, like if you go to Google and you're trying to find a restaurant and you type that restaurant in on Google, it takes you to the restaurant or a website. That's what hashtags do inside of social media. So if I want to go in and type something like Lendio in, or business lending in a hashtag, it's going to bring up all the information for people that are providing value that have that hashtag associated with their post.
So they're just categorized anchors.
That's right. It's like folders.
Okay.
So think of it that way. It's like a little folder that you put information in, and then you say, based on these hashtags, I'm going to put it in this folder, and this folder, and this folder. So if anybody's looking for information inside of this folder, then they can find it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Does everyone else, Mark, Grant, Luis, do you get that? Ian, do you guys get that? Does that make sense to you as far as, and I want you to think about in your business, how can you do that for you now, right? How can you position yourself in a way that builds that same type of value based on your knowledge base that you can position on LinkedIn? And it doesn't have to be video every time. It can be an article that you write. Or it can be a live, it can be, interestingly enough, LinkedIn you can't do a live video on, but you can always edit it and then pop it in just like John has done here.
I have a question.
Yep.
Yeah.
This might be more for Mark than you, Ryan, but please chime in if you know the answer. Do we already have certain marketing things that we have through Lendio that we're able to put on, like social media, to help us out a little bit? I don't think it would come to and I don't know if we're the extreme of where you're saying go out there and talk to people and give them some information, stuff like that. But it's just other marketing material. Because I know you said at the beginning of this part that you said go in and change it, make it your own, etc. So do we have stuff like that we can work with as well as doing something like this, just put in a few quotes or something, or maybe putting an example like you were talking to RJ about?
Yeah, so I think there's a variety of stuff we can use. One of the things that Teresa is working on is creating weekly content that you could send to your potential partners. Okay. But in addition, that's even more broad. We've got videos you could share. The marketing team here regularly puts out, and maybe we could have Brett Stevens hop on one of our calls and talk about what he does on social media, because we've got a LinkedIn page too, and there's a blog, and we're always kind of sharing and disseminating information. That's easy for you to pick up, repurpose, and kind of readjust to fit your local market or your own personality and to share again. Yep. That'd be easy stuff to do. That's already out there on Lendio's Instagram account or Facebook or LinkedIn, or even on Lendio.com, on the blog. So you can lift any of that and reshare it in your own market for sure.
Okay. So that's all right for us to do where we're not, getting in trouble for.
Yeah, of course.
On there we're not supposed to.
No, that'd be good. Mark Cottle, I'm assuming that's what it's built for, is for them to leverage.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, so leverage it, guys. Listen, you don't have to create something brand new. If you don't feel comfortable getting on a video, first and foremost, you can see the difference from a static post, which means just a text or an image post, versus something like this that you're getting 10,000 views on it, right? But think about the cool thing about it is, and again, I want to reiterate, where else can you put a piece of live content on, and not necessarily live in terms of a Facebook Live event, but a video content? Where else can you put video content on a platform where your target demographic is and let them see it without you even reaching out and asking them to look at it?
But isn't LinkedIn so big that when you I put something on it, right? As soon as I put something on there, it's like buried.
Sure.
Because people are putting stuff all the. How do they? If they don't see it within the first few minutes it's up there, they're never going to see it.
That's not true. That's not true, because it depends on the number of connections that they have. If you have people that are bankers, that are commercial lenders, that only have 300 connections on LinkedIn, and no one else is putting content out there, guess what? Yours is going to show up.
Okay.
Right. So you may see that it's buried, but that's just because of maybe the amount of connections that you have. But also recognize, guys, that again, going back to the conversation of the algorithm, the more consistent you are in the content you're sharing, the more you get your audience to engage with you, the more often your content will share up inside of their newsfeed.
I'm going.
Yep.
So does that are we just depending upon so we post a message or we post a video or whatever. So let's say we post a video. Am I just dependent upon them clicking that and then maybe going to my profile? Or am I putting something that's pushed them to my microsite? Or what's that next step?
Well, that's the
How
next
many
step,
down that
right? That's the next step in the sales funnel. So what would be the tripwire? Well, that might be like this. This next step in the tripwire that I'm seeing right in front of me is an invitation to take that next step. Now recognize, I mean, he's been probably putting out a lot of free content without having some sort of next step. So
Okay.
what I would suggest is start to put out some content without having that next step, and then develop what that next step is, RJ. So for you, if it's, Lendio, then look at the next step or the next, think about the customer journey. If you know your target demographic is business owners in your community and you're starting to play that economic development informer role, right? So you're giving status updates or you're playing that business role of doing a business assessment analysis. Well, what would your next step be? If you're going to do an assessment of a company and show some of the struggles that people that you're talking to have gone through, your next step would be an invitation to any other business owners that's struggling for you for them to reach out to you so you can do a quick assessment of their business.
Okay.
And then the next step, which is the offer, you have a chance to sit down and do an assessment of their business, and you see an opportunity, for instance, for them to do business with a commercial insurance person, and you're not playing that role anymore, but you've got a good referring partner, then pass it off to them. Or if the next step for them in their journey is to get non-traditional lending from Lendio, then there you go. You need to understand the customer in that journey.
Right.
And it's not a one-size-fits-all, as you know.
Right.
Does that make sense, guys? Are you following me in this process?
Very much. Yes.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense.
So the implementation, since we're 1 minute away from this being over, the implementation this week is I want you to put 3 pieces of content between now and next week on your Facebook page, Mark Grant, or not your Facebook, your LinkedIn profile. Mark, that includes you, Mark Grant. You're probably my most hesitant.
Well, repeat that one more time to make sure I have the correct instruction.
3 posts this week, which include either video or an asset leveraged from Lendio, repurposed for you. When I say repurposed, like give definition of why you're posting it, right? I come across a lot of business leaders and I get the same question. Here's a quick little video that helps answer a question that I get asked all the time. Okay, so 3 posts this week between, I guess it'll be 2 weeks. So I want 3 posts between now, and we'll just go baby steps, between now and next week, and then I want you to do the same thing for the following week. So between now and 2 weeks when we meet again, I want 6 pieces of content.
Okay.
That either you create, write yourself, article-based, video-based asset that you create yourself, or leverage a testimonial from Lendio or an article or a piece of material. And Mark, maybe on your next franchise conversation, you could have your marketing guy get on and talk about why they're creating certain aspects of marketing material and assets for them to use and how to best leverage those.
Yeah, I like it. I'll talk to the team.
Because
So
they're there.
Do you want us to send these things to you, or you just
No, I
want?
just want you to do it.
Okay.
I will follow up. I know who's on this call, my friend. I know where you're at, RJ.
So if you don't show up, you don't get homework. That kind of sucks.
That's exactly. Well, if you don't show up, you don't grow.
That's right.
That's right.
RJ, you don't show up. RJ, you don't show up, you don't make money.
That's right. No, you're right.
Mark, you feel me, my friend. Mark Grant, you're feeling me. Listen, hey guys, I want to give you purpose behind all of this. You know, I'm teaching you these things because it works. The messaging associated, you know, the copy that we've created from a messaging perspective works. Use it. This attraction marketing concept, it works. Use it. Like, I've been doing this for 6 years and I've leveraged all of these things. I'm not just preaching to you and saying I don't do it myself, but you go do it. I'll commit to each one of you that I'm going to do the same thing on my LinkedIn profile. And then we'll come back and we'll test it. We'll come back and look at it in our meeting in 2 weeks. and see what happens. Fair?
Fair.
All right, guys.
Can I add something, Ron?
Please.
One of the things that is, you know, I think just to add to this is like the whole reason, and that's actually something I'm working on. I'm already actually working on some content for some videos that I'm planning on doing for the email marketing strategy and funnels that I'm working on. So,
yep.
And one of the you know one of the important things with doing this, you're trying to establish rapport, trust, and respect. And when you establish those things, when you give people value and you establish that rapport and that trust, because you're not, you know, for a lot of these people, you're not actually, you know, they're just seeing you in a video. They don't know, nobody knows who, you know, some of these people may not know who you are. Some of them may. But the important thing is you're establishing that rapport, trust, and respect.
Yep.
When you establish that rapport, trust, and respect, it becomes the sell, the you know, selling them on a loan later on, or them coming to you about, they'll come to you about a loan, and they'll already have that trust and respect for you. So the whole idea behind all this content is establishing that, you know, rapport, trust, and respect. So.
Yep. Luis, you said it very well, my friend.
All right.
All right, guys. So we'll be back here in a couple of weeks with some good things to talk about based on what you're sharing.
All right. Thank you.
Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.